intersects with what's on the shelves here at Surface Noise Records. This is the owner-proprietor, Brett Ralph. That's Gigi. And we're going to go inside and look at books and records. And this is also where we presented some of these Superwolves songs for the very first time at the 3rd year anniversary celebration of Surface Noise Records. All right, inside we go. And the store is closed today, so that's the reason you may or may not have a mask sometimes when I'm in there, but normally you have to wear a mask. Right on. So here we are at Surface Noise. What's on my shelf? This was an easy thing to find right away. This is definitely on my shelf at home and on the shelf of my heart. And I think I learned about it from Matt, I'm pretty sure. This is called Reunion by Glenn Campbell. It says the songs of Jimmy Webb. It's just like a gorgeous collaboration. And we talk about this record a lot. It's just the sound of one voice externally realizing the voice of another internal voice, of Jimmy Webb's internal voice, right? Okay. And I'm looking here at the country section right now, just because it's the first section on your left when you come in. This is the rock section. And I'll bring up to you one more here. That's The Way Love Goes. Merle Haggard singing a song of one of his heroes, Lefty Frizzell. That's The Way Love Goes. He does a beautiful job with it, as does Johnny Rodriguez. Does a beautiful job with That's the Way Love Goes. And you'll hear it often on William Benton's Cat Casual's Red River Rally on Saturday evenings. He's a big Johnny Rodriguez fan, or J-Rod fan. And Sweeney and I got to have a little encounter with Rodriguez through through David Ferguson and Cowboy Jack Clement, because Johnny Rodriguez wanted to get Cowboy to produce a new record on him before Cowboy passed. And he came into Cowboy's office, and for some reason I was allowed to be there and got to hear Rodriguez, who's got one of the finest voices in country music, audition his song for Cowboy. And there was so much power in there, but also it was so bizarre to see such vulnerability on the part of this seasoned, wild man, Johnny Rodriguez. Okay, I'll look for something else. Right. Sons of Hawaii box set. This is a beautiful, wonderful, beautiful record. It's a group called the Sons of Hawaii, which is one of the ways in which Gabi Pahinui came to prominence and came to worldwide fame, more or less, as a practitioner of traditional Hawaiian music and a wild man himself. This is a beautiful record, and they decided to make a really fine package. And it's not too hard to find, and at $25 here at Surface Noise, I call it a steal. The lighting isn't as good because I faced away, but but that's fine. I'll do things at an angle. Can you see it? More singable songs sung by Raffi with Ken Whiteley, not to be confused with Keith Whitley. We've been listening to a lot of Raffi in our house, mostly the Baby Beluga record. It includes my favorite Raffi song, Thanks a Lot, which reminds me so much of the music of Matt Kivel. If you haven't heard the music of Matt Kivel, Kivel, he's also on our shelves, and he's a significant part of our shelf life oral landscape. Aural. Sitting right here at the end of this shelf, this has certainly been on my shelf pretty much since it came out. Probably 6 months after it came out, which would have been, what year? So this is the first Madonna record. I can't. 82. Wow, 83. So probably 84 maybe is when I maybe bought it. And it's got some songs that I don't care for, like Physical Attraction. I never was a big fan of Holiday, frankly. But it has songs that I love. Borderline, Burning Up, and I Know It, which is, I know it's probably one of my favorite Madonna songs. And people, like my wife, don't really know this record. I know you're gonna take your love and run. I know you think I'm the foolish one. I know you're gonna turn around and say goodbye. I know it. A couple of Kate and Anna McGarrigle records. Okay, I'll find something else. The Who? I don't really have any The Who records. I know that Matt has seen The Who in the last 10 or 15 years, and he said it was a really good show. Not specifically on my shelf. However, I saw this record and I thought it was nice record to point out to you. It's a soundtrack from the movie One-Eyed Jacks. Not one of my favorite movies, and a soundtrack that I do not recall. However, One-Eyed Jacks is an important location in the history of the Superwolves saga in New Orleans. One-Eyed Jack's proprietor, Rio Hackford, whose name Rio, I believe, comes from this motion picture. The name of Marlon Brando's character is Rio, based on the historical, fictional character Billy the Kid. And prior to being the proprietor of One-Eyed Jack's, where we have done numerous performances in one form or another, he had a club called the El Matador, which was where we showcased, I believe live for the first time, anything that would become a song on the very first Superwolf record. I was at the El Matador in New Orleans, Louisiana. A wonderful place to visit. El Matador is no longer there, but the neighborhood bar Pals, I believe, is. And I hopefully One-Eyed Jacks is here post-pandemic. Okay, special treat here. Cross. It says here on the note, written by our proprietor, Brett Ralph, it says featuring Mikey Ma Turner. However, I'm pulling this out of here because this record was recorded at the Butcher Shop in Nashville, Tennessee. And that is where about 2/3 of this new Superwolves record was recorded. The recording engineers included Pete Townsend, who plays drums on the first track on our record, Make Worry For Me. And the other engineer was Sean Sullivan, who was the assistant engineer on our recording session and the head engineer on the mixing session, over which I presided because we mixed during the pandemic, so we did it separately. Sweeney did his mixing up in Brooklyn, where we recorded about 1/3 of the record. All the stuff with him, do Mokhtar's group. And we recorded 2/3 of it down in Nashville at the Butcher Shop, where this record was recorded, this amazing, insane record by Cross. And then when the pandemic hit, we had to separate our mixing, and I went down, and by that point, the Butcher Shop had shut its doors for permanent, and moved in spirit to Goodlettsville, Tennessee, to a smaller, more rustic zone, which is now called the Butcher Shack. And that's where I oversaw the mixing with Sean Sullivan of the rest of that record. Change the angle a little bit. To talk about a love that Sweeney and I have that share deeply, as well as many others. But this is Charles Wilford. This book, The Burnt Orange Heresy, is not my favorite book. There's a new movie based on this book. Did you know that?
I didn't.
With a bunch of people. It takes place. They reset it in Europe. Mick Jagger's in it.
Wow.
Yeah. My godmother says it's great.
Wow.
I don't know. She has sometimes really good taste.
Who's your godmother?
Tanya Vartan. You probably met her at some point. She's very glamorous. But this is a good example of Wilford at his best. Sideswipe, one of 4 books that feature the police detective Hoke Mosley. They made a movie of the first one, Miami Blues, starring Fred Ward as Hoke Mosley. And just an absolute joy reading Charles Willeford, this series. And there was a recent. There was a recent.
Alec Baldwin
Alec Baldwin is in it, yeah, as well, and Jennifer Jason Leigh. Yeah, pretty amazing. Just a friendly voice, and he's definitely all over my shelves, except for the fact that his books aren't super easy to come by, not counting the internet, and so I'm often giving them away. So I think right now I may have one of his books where at one point or another I've had 15 or 20 definitely copies of 10 or 11 or 12 titles. But they're just so fun to loan to people because you just see their eyes and minds just light up when they realize how good and fun the prose is.
I'm pretty sure that within moments.
Never on a shelf. I don't know if you can see. Yeah, you can see Darby there on the ground. That's Brett's pal. And then, of course, we've got Gigi right here. But I thought it was a good time to mention musically. We're listening to a Chris Brokaw solo record called Canaris, or Canaries is a better title, I believe. And there's definitely Chris Brokaw in the house. And I think Brett and I think the first time I was ever in the same room or saw any of the music of Chris Brokaw, we were together at the Middle East in Boston. We'd gone to see our friends Antietam, who were mostly come out of Louisville, and they were on a bill with this new group called Come, and we'd never heard of
COME.
COME, exactly. And they blew me away. I just didn't know what to expect at all, and I didn't know really what Thalia Zedek looked like. And she was on stage, and our friend Steven Driesler was a big fan of Live Skull, and I was like, wow, I know Steve Driesler would like this band. I think he'd really like that guitar player a whole lot. And it turns out it was the same guitar player that he already had a kind of an infatuation with.
Do you remember the encore when?
Yeah, they got together and.
Yeah, Talia had already loaded out, so Tara loaned her extra Les Paul, and they just stood toe to toe, ripping solos and just jammed on an instrumental for 10 minutes.
Yeah, it was so beautiful.
Oh.
Yeah, I have a bunch of photos from that show.
Oh wow!
Yeah,
I would love to see those.
Yeah, they're great. Super exciting. Okay, now we're back deeper in the book section, and I'd like to bring to your attention something that's definitely on my shelf, which is this Warren Oates biography. Came out in University of Kentucky Press. I think they did the recent Harry Dean Stanton biography as well, University of Kentucky Press. And I think they did the massive John Jacob Niles biography as well.
For sure.
Warren Oates grew up in Kentucky, and he actually used to spend loiter in his high school years not far, just a few blocks down there at Jack Fry's and Walgreens. Because I guess Walgreens was a soda fountain and Jack Fry's was a more approachable, not as expensive eatery. That's what it says in here, at least. And a marvelous actor with whom I feel I have certain things in common, including a big mouth and a big teeth and a dubious squinty smile. See, it's pretty close, isn't it? Cool.
Awesome.
Now I have to upload.
Are they going to edit that?